I've been thinking a little bit, and if there was a parade, it would be great to have Dan in a car, preferably a cage, and just have him at like the end of the parade where everybody could just boo him.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Finish Strong Friday, a Picks Friday, a Winners Friday edition of the mighty RTFP, presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Yes, I do have some winners for those of you that spread the word via social media or take advantage of a sponsor or make a comment at youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. I'll get to that at the end because I want to dive right into the conversation with my buddy PFT Commenter, who's one of the two co-hosts of the extremely popular Pardon My Take podcast, part of Barstool Sports, which, by the way, is part of the DraftKings family in terms of DraftKings advertising on those shows. I love PFT Commenter. He's hilarious. He is a lifelong Washington football fan. You got to hear what that's been like for him. Then we'll get into my picks for the games. Then there's some very interesting news out of Tampa/Jacksonville. But first, it's Big Show time, presented by Labatt Blue Light. Drink some of these this weekend. I know the Bills fans will be with your friends and live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York.
The Big Show.
All right, so he's been on the show before, I think maybe a couple times before. I can't remember the last time he was on. I'm a big fan of his work and have been for a long time. He goes by PFT Commenter. It's part of one of the most popular podcasts in the galaxy. It's called Pardon My Take. I haven't been on it in years. I don't know what I did wrong, but the point is Big Cat is awesome. PFT Commenter is awesome, and they're hilarious, which is why I don't follow very many people, but I follow both of them because they make me laugh with their sports takes, which is incredible. He also is a very, very, very large Washington football fan, the team I started and finished my career with, by the way. So I wanted to bring him on this week for obvious reasons with the huge game on Sunday. I will be on the sideline on Sunday for radio. Haven't decided what I'm going to wear yet, so you guys can try to find me and give me some TV time when guys run out of bounds near me. We'll figure that out over the next couple of days. PFT, I got to start with this, dude. Like, blank slate. The Washington whatevers are in the NFC Championship game. Just blank slate. Your thoughts, your texts with your family, your friends, like, where are you at with this right now?
Nobody can believe it. Nobody could have believed it even 3 months ago, 2 months ago. So when I went to the Monday Night Football game in week 3, it was against the Cincinnati Bengals. It was at Paycor Stadium. What I saw that night made me say, I can now fully embrace the idea that the Super Bowl window has opened. The Super Bowl window. And I say window because you got a young quarterback. He's incredible. We got a lot of cap space. He's on his rookie deal. I didn't think that the Super Bowl window would include possibly going to the Super Bowl this year. I was just saying, big picture, it looks like this is now when you have to go all in and start paying some guys, start getting some free agents, and hit on a couple draft picks, and you can get there. I didn't think a month ago, 2 months ago, that this was going to be possible. When we had that, it was like a brief losing streak that we had, and we lost to the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday night. That was probably Jaden's worst game of the season. I didn't think that we were going to do anything in terms of, we'd probably make the playoffs. Our schedule softened up a little bit at the end, but I had no idea that we were capable of scoring that many points against the Lions. And obviously their defense was a little bit banged up. I get that. They were losing a lot of guys. They were dropping like flies. But we did a good job in slowing down the offense, and credit to Dan Campbell. Thank you for taking Jahmyr Gibbs off the field as much as he did to give the ball to David Montgomery. That kind of helped us a little bit too. But I don't think that you can deny that the Commanders are a very good football team right now. I think 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we weren't really sure if they were good. We knew that they knew how to win games, but we weren't sure that they were a good team. And Ross, you were very nice at the start, paid me a lot of compliments. Can I just say I do listen to you. I try to follow along with your gambling math, and every weekend I go into the games and I say, I'm going to do a couple of these teasers. I'm going to try to I'm going to try to wheel some of these teasers around. Then on Sunday morning, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to load up the parlays again. Let's just dance with who brought you. So I aspire to be as analytical as you are when it comes to putting my bets in sometimes, but I don't think that's in the cards. And also, you don't take this the wrong way, but you have great ad reads. I love your ad reads, Ross. When you talk
I'm
about
not taking it the wrong way.
doors, I've been personally invested in your new door for your family. Like I want to know everything about your door. So great job.
Oh man. Oh, my buddy, whose company that is going to absolutely love that you just said that about westshorehome.com/Ross. That was incredible. Um,
I mean,
so
I've been following the saga of you replacing your door for months now, and so, yeah, I'm always wanting the updates on it.
so okay, dude, in your lifetime, the Lions game Saturday night ranks where in terms of biggest surprise outcome for one of your beloved teams? There's two different categories here. Biggest surprise outcome and also like just biggest win overall. But
Yeah.
let's start with the surprise part because you know like the Caps won the cup and like whatever. But let's start with like the holy crap. I mean, multiple of your posts on Saturday night were holy, you know what? Because I could tell you just couldn't believe what was happening.
Yeah, I didn't think that it was going to go down like that at all. I'd say that's probably the most surprising outcome. I'm looking back. If you were to say like at the start of the fourth quarter, or even like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter of the Monday Night Football game, where it was the Redskins against the Cowboys back in 2005, the Monday Night Miracle, where Santana Moss went deep twice. That was surprising in that moment, but that was just a game of just crap from Mark Brunell. And then somehow we win that game against a rival. That was a very surprising moment. But for a surprising win, this has got to be number one because I thought that the two outcomes would be one, we just get pummeled by the Lions. They score 70 points against us. I thought that was in play. Outcome number two was we win another close game like we've been winning. I did not think that we were going to beat them by 2 scores. And it could have been more. It could have been 3 scores. They had that costly phantom face mask that extended a drive on third down for the Lions, and they ended up scoring a touchdown off of it. But yeah, that was the most surprising outcome for me. And now I can say, like, we just beat a great team on the road in their house. What does that make us? I think that makes us a great team right now.
You know, you referenced the Redskins, 2005, and as you can see behind me, I've got not one but 2 Redskin helmets. How much does that bother you? Because I gotta tell you, there's some part of me that feels like this would even be cooler. And I'm not getting into like the reason why they changed the name or whatever, but it still feels weird to be like, oh, the Commanders are awesome. Like, I'm so excited about the Commanders. And maybe it's because I played there twice, started my career there and finished there, but does that bother you, or are you like 100% past that and invested into the Commanders at this point? Or are you still hoping the new owner changes the name to something?
So, I mean, in a perfect world, I don't love the name Commanders. I don't think that anybody really does, except for Dan Snyder, who was in his final act as team owner. He was like, here you go. I'm going to leave one thing behind to make you hate me for forever. I don't think anybody loves that name. But if we win with that name, it'll just become a thing that you root for. So, also, if you look around the league, and if every team was an expansion team and they were given their team names that they have right now, clean slate, you'd look around the league and be like, there are a lot of really bad named teams, right? You would say, I mean, Buffalo Bills. I love the Bills. Special place in my heart for Bills Mafia. But if you were to say, like, yeah, we're calling ourselves the Buffalo Bills, you'd be like, that's a little like cartoony. That's a little Disney, right? If it were to start today, like the New York Giants, I think people would be like, oh, okay, New York Giants. No more imagination than that for city in the world. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's like the history behind the names is really what makes people fall in love with names and get an attachment to them. We have no history behind Commanders. The history behind Commanders is Dan Snyder sat in a room and he said, "I want to sell more season tickets to Raytheon, so I'll just name it something. I'll gesture vaguely at the military, and then more money will come into me in season tickets." So that's the history behind that name. So I just want to see him win, and then I think people will start to, associate winning and the enthusiasm with whatever the team name is. I ideally wouldn't like for it to be the Commanders. I think there's a lot of good options that you could have gone with if you were going to change the name. You could have gone with the Hogs or the Warthogs.
Yes.
Like something that ties it in with the history of the franchise. That would have been really cool to see. But yeah, you know what? I think I'm done saying Dan Snyder's name. I think I want to reach a point in my life where I don't think about him. This season has done a great job in separating me from my long-held hatred of that man. So, whatever they're called this year, I don't think about it at all this year unless I'm asked, and then I think, yeah, you know what? It is a stupid name. And also the logo. I think the logo, there's been a lot of talk in the media of the family of the guy from the portrait that they had for the Washington Redskins, that they would be comfortable with bringing that back because it was done to honor him, and it's a respectful logo, I think.
Yeah.
So I'd be happy with bringing that back. And that when I see that logo, it still makes me feel something, like
yes.
I have that attachment to. I don't have that logo, that same emotional connection to whatever the three-dimensional W is. But I'm not thinking about that at all during the postseason run. I'm focused on how much fun I'm having watching this team.
It's interesting. I'm the opposite on Dan Snyder. That's like my rooting interest for Washington right now. Right. So the Eagles, I'm from there. I grew up an Eagles fan, even though I never played for them. And it's good for me financially if the Eagles keep winning, because there's a bunch of stuff I do each week while the Eagles season goes on, right? The Bills are my favorite team I played for. Like Eagles, Bills would be my dream Super Bowl. However, if Washington goes, the idea of Dan Snyder watching that somewhere, in fact, like they should invite him to the Super Bowl so we all get to watch him watching Washington. And like that would be, how they show Taylor Swift every time Travis Kelce does something good. Yeah. They should invite Snyder to the Super Bowl or NFC Championship game, put him in a suite, and every time Jaden Daniels does something good, show Dan Snyder. Like get his reaction, like going crazy the opposite way.
I do want to see his misery. That's a good point. And I mean, you should love Dan Snyder. He paid you a good amount of money, right?
Like twice. Yeah. And he almost said hi to me. That's the thing. He only talked to like the 5 best players. And in 2002, I was starting or whatever in the preseason. He looked at me and was like, and then thought better of it and kept walking. But John Jansen and Chris Sam was like, dude, Tuck, you were almost in the club. Like you almost made it. But he was smart to not say anything. I wasn't that good.
I don't want to talk ahead of being, obviously I have to think about the Super Bowl. I've been purposely trying not to even allow myself to think during these playoffs, what if we got to the Super Bowl? But you have to start thinking about it right now. Because if you win this game, you go to the Super Bowl. So I've been thinking a little bit, and if there was a parade, it would be great to have Dan in a car, preferably a cage, and just have him at like the end of the parade where everybody could just boo him, like the walk of shame from Game of Thrones. That's what I would like to have happen. But yeah, I try not to think about him because I don't want to take away from my joy. But really what you can see in this Commanders team is DC is a football town. It's been a football town for a very long time. It got that ripped away from them. Not ripped. It was slow. It was a slow pull away where year by year, decision by decision, he just extracted the joy from the entire city. And something that brought the entire city together used to be Redskins football. We didn't have that anymore. And to see that come back has been awesome. And I've got a bunch of friends that still live there. I've got family. My mom lives right across the street from the practice bubble. And everybody is just like, they're back. The city is now once again a football town. And Jaden Daniels now has as many playoff wins as Dan Snyder had in his entire tenure. Pretty cool.
It's so funny because my sister lives in Potomac, and they never have talked about Washington football or the Red. Never. And now all of a sudden I gave my nephew some of my old Redskin gear. My sister's like putting posts of me on her Instagram story in my Redskin uniform, being like like she's never done that once. You know what I mean? But now it's like the bandwagon. Were you old enough to like remember or enjoy any of the Super Bowls?
I remember 1992 because I was almost 7 years old. I remember winning that Super Bowl. I remember afterwards the celebration. I remember the game. But the thing I remember the most from that was my dad went to the store, Giant Foods, and got a Redskins commemorative can of Coca-Cola that just sat in my laundry room. It wasn't in like a display shelf, or it wasn't even on display. He just wanted the can, and he put it in the laundry room above my washing machine. And growing up, I watched that thing turn from bright red to just it faded away to like a light white pink by the end of the time. But I remember being happy about it. I remember watching that game, and then I remember being very upset when we didn't win a Super Bowl the next year because I thought that's all we did. I thought every time, every January I was going to get into the Super Bowl, and I didn't, and I was upset by that. But besides that season, the closest that I've ever remembered coming to winning anything was probably 2005, 2006. Joe Gibbs 2.0, Clinton Portis, Santana Moss, Mark Brunell. We beat the Bucks in the playoffs. Got our teeth kicked in by the Seahawks that game. But it's when I tell people the happiest moments of my life as a football fan, they get very, very depressed for me. I'm like, I got one playoff win where Brunell threw for like 40 yards, and then I've got 6 to 8 weeks of RG3 in 2012. And besides that, it's been a barren wasteland. So I do think that this is something that we can build up for the long term too. Jaden is a great quarterback, and he's light years ahead of being a rookie. And we've got a lot of cap space, and it seems like we have a general manager that knows what he's doing. So Adam Peters has done a great job this year. Now we get to start adding to the roster, and the window's open.
Last question. I'm about to get into my picks, my predictions for the weekend. Your thoughts, your prediction, your honest prediction for Commanders Eagles NFC Championship.
Honest prediction, I think the Commanders are going to win. Philly is a great team. I'm scared by Jalen Carter. I'm scared of Hurts, what he can do if he's healthy. I'm very scared of Saquon Barkley, and that offensive line is nothing to kid around about. I'm not underestimating him, but I love what I saw last week. I think our secondary has really come on. Lattimore played great last week. Sanders still is one of my favorite guys in the entire league.
Awesome.
Awesome player. And Jeremy Chin has been hitting people. So I think we win this game, and I think it's 33-25. 33
Wow.
5 Commanders. I think you can this is one of those games where I don't think the spread matters. I don't know if Washington covers and loses. I think it's either Commanders money line or Philly. I don't see a world where Philly wins a close game. I think they either beat the brakes off of us or we end up winning by a touchdown.
Well, that's the thing about Daniels. He's not just good. He's like crazy clutch. I mean, the fourth quarter against the Eagles, week 16, fourth quarter in overtime against the Falcons, week 17, the playoff drive against the Bucks to clinch the game. I mean, that's the thing. Like, he's got the clutch gene. He's not just good. He's clutch. You are the man. Check him out on social media at PFT Commenter. I promise you won't be disappointed. Absolutely hilarious, as you can tell. He's a huge fan of westshorehome.com/Ross and me talking about it like all of you should be. Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I get less funny when I'm talking about something that I actually care deeply about. Like, I feel so emotionally invested in this team. I did it. Can I ask you a question? Can I do a one question? Final question for Ross Tucker. How do you stop Carter? How do you stop him with your backup right guard? I have an idea of something that we could. I've been watching the All-22. I've been grinding the tape. But from your perspective, what do you do to neutralize him?
Yeah, I don't think it's that hard. I think you just have to double him. I thought the last two plays by the Rams were an absolute travesty. The right guard and center were not on the same page, did not seem to understand what the protection was, and they basically let him go free both plays. I have no idea what they were doing, But those were not even that impressive of plays from Carter because the right guard thought it was slide to him and was vacating space for some unknown reason. And then the center came to him and then went the other. Like, I really, people don't realize it. Like, position coaches matter, mental errors. Like, that was a mental error. There's a decent chance the Rams win the game if the center and the right guard just do what they're supposed to do and just double Carter on those two plays. Sean McVay and the O-line coach for the Rams must be losing their mind right now because they would have had two chances. They were already pretty close, probably would have gotten the first down. The sack was killer. And then the next play, like, totally unacceptable. Those were not like sweet moves by Carter. It wasn't like super impressive. It was, to me, O-lineman, and I love Jalen Carter, but that was O-lineman screwing up.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know that you can maybe try to get him with a double team and just have that be the game plan for most of the snaps. I feel like when he crashes, he's exceptionally quick with his hands, and he is just beating guys' hands off him, getting around him. He's so fast, and when he crashes, he tends to crash, towards the center. And if you can get him leaning to his right, he's not as quick coming back to his left, and you can do that with misdirection in the backfield. And I think Eckler having a big game in terms of receiving yards and receiving totals. That's what I'm looking at on DraftKings, Ross. Is I'm looking at Austin Eckler over receiving yards, over receptions.
I love that because that's how Kingsbury is going to get the linebacker opposite Bond, probably Oren Burks. That's how he's going to try to get him in a matchup. I would throw it to him all day if I was Washington. It's a great point.
All right.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Ross, let's go. Hopefully we get that Bills Commanders Super Bowl.
Yeah, Bills Eagles would be great. Absolutely.
Commanders, like you said, Bills Commanders. Look forward to it.
Just wondering whether or not what game Jason Kelce is going to be at this weekend. Is he going to be at the Eagles game because it's home and local, or is he going to go watch his brother in Kansas City? I know this. Those guys have a hilarious podcast. It's called New Heights. I watch a lot of the social media clips, and I'm dying laughing. Bill Murray calling the guy from Roadhouse's the woman's her wife. I mean, her husband, I guess. Anyway, I butchered this, so you might as well just go and listen and watch New Heights on your own, wherever you get your podcasts. But if you want to skip the ads, catch new episodes early, and unlock access to exclusive episodes of the show, join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Playoff season is here, and the only thing better than game day predictions are the foods that come with them. Introducing Tums Fantasy Foodball Pool, brought to you by Tums, America's #1 antacid brand, and DraftKings. Each week leading up to the big game, turn football into foodball by building your best game day plate for a shot at winning a share of $40,000 in cash prizes. Inspired by game day bites and tailgate treats, join the Tums foodball action during this playoff season's most heartburn-inducing time. Visit DraftKings.com/foodball between January 6th and February 9th to enter for free and select your game day plate before the start of each playoff round. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at DraftKings.com/TumsFoodball. When you feel the heat of the game, don't let heartburn keep you on the sidelines. Try Tums Chewy Bites with a tasty outer shell and soft center for fast relief of heartburn, acid indigestion, and upset stomach. Check out Tums Gummy Bites featuring a soft and easy-to-chew format for fast relief of occasional heartburn, acid indigestion, sour stomach, and upset stomach. Both available at Amazon, Target, and other major retailers nationwide. And for more heartburn relief fun, be sure to follow Tums at Tums Official on Instagram and TikTok. So you already know that Smirnoff is the official vodka partner of the NFL and Super Bowl 59 because I've been telling you all season. What I like about Smirnoff is that you can get the world's #1 vodka without breaking the bank. Very affordable. This feeling is what the folks at Smirnoff call Smirnoff Extraordinary. They actually partnered with Complex, letting fans get their hands on some amazing items, handpicked by celebrities, including NFL legend Super Bowl champ Vernon Davis, for just $12.99, just like a bottle of Smirnoff. Head on over to SmirnoffDrops.com to check out upcoming drops and check out these Smirnoff Extraordinary items. Go quick. They're not going to last long. Please drink responsibly, by the way. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Pricing is at the sole discretion of the retailer. May vary by state. Please not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
Want to know which team is going to win every single game on Sunday? Then listen up.
All right, Ross, we'll start our games with the Commanders at the Philadelphia Eagles, like you guys sort of just talked about.
You know, I always say, Jack, that when I make my picks, I make it based on what I think is the most likely outcome for the game, right? And I really do think that if these teams played 10 times, Eagles win at least 7, maybe 8. That said, all the Commanders need is for this to be one of the other 2 or 3. But I've been consistent with this all week. And I'll make this, Jack, actually my pick of the week presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. I don't think the Eagles are going to give up explosive plays like they did the last time these teams met. No Gardner Johnson really hurt them after he was ejected. I do think they'll be able to run the ball effectively. They were not able to run it as effectively after Hurts got concussed in the last matchup. I don't know how effective Hurts will be running the football. That's something very much to keep an eye on early in this game. Certainly, if you're Washington, you want to make him run, right? I mean, the first quarter, first couple series, make him prove that he can be an effective runner with that knee injury, because it makes a big difference. And he's been a more cautious runner, I've noticed, ever since the concussion anyway. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. I also don't think the Eagles are going to turn the football over like the Lions did. That said, the Commanders turned it over 5 times in the last meeting between these two teams, and they still won. They put up a bunch of points. That first matchup is interesting, or the second matchup, I should say, is interesting because on the one hand, the Commanders got a lot of confidence, and they've played with it ever since because they beat the big bad Eagles. On the other hand, I think the Eagles are kind of out for revenge. I think the Eagles are probably happy that they get to play these guys again after what happened in that Week 16 matchup. I do think the Eagles will be able to run it. I think they'll have a better plan for Daniel's legs. I don't think they'll have a terrible turnover day or allow a lot of explosive plays. But the Commanders are really good. They are very impressive. Ultimately, I think it's 27-23. The Eagles get back to the Super Bowl for the second time in the last 3 years.
And next up, Buffalo Bills. They're traveling to Kansas City to play the Chiefs.
Epic, epic game. Feels like it happens every year. I cannot wait for it. And I'm going to make this, Jack, actually, my game time game of the week, because I think it is, right? I mean, I love the Game Time app, and I love this game. I'm glad we're getting this matchup again. And here's how I look at it. The Niners and Steve Young were not able to beat the Cowboys until they did. The Colts and Peyton Manning not able to beat the Patriots and Tom Brady until they did. Josh Allen and the Bills have not been able to beat Patrick Mahomes until the Chiefs. Until now. I think it's time. I think the Bills have been so good with turnovers. This is the best. They're not going to beat themselves. This is the best they've run the football with Josh Allen. I think it's time. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to the Super Bowl 24-23. And Bills fans, you can be there to watch them get to the Super Bowl, in my opinion, via the Game Time app. They have the all-in pricing, the incredible seat views, the lowest price guarantee. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. It's not too late right now. I'm looking at it. You can get in for $229. You can get amazing seats for like $600. Amazing seats. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ROSS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So again, create an account and redeem code ROSS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Tuck's Takes.
All right, Ross, some news around the NFL. Liam Cohen, he is on track to become the Jags head coach after he spurned the Bucs in that whole interesting process.
Right. Going to be a lot of conversation about that today and over the weekend. A lot of Bucs fans have really hurt feelings about it. A couple things I would say on that. Number one, when he initially agreed to come back to Tampa, that was because the Jaguars still had Trent Baalke as their GM. They made a huge material change, which changed the entire dynamic for Cohen. He had not signed his contract with the Bucs yet. And I have seen teams screw over players and coaches so many times in my years that a guy changing his mind before he signed his contract because he has a head coaching opportunity that's perfect for him now, that doesn't bother me at all. I'm fine with what Liam Cohen did. Just like I love Thomas Welcomer rating and reviewing the show. You're the word winner, Thomas. Or Stephen Chen taking advantage of the myfrontpagestory.com opportunity. Congratulations, Stephen. It's the best Valentine's Day gift ever. Or Derek Para saying that we are on fire on the Even Money podcast with his YouTube comment. Make sure you all email me, ross@rosstucker.com. I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. You heard me just talking about it with Stephen Chen. Huge believer in life and making sure people know how you feel about them. What better time to do that than Valentine's Day? It's myfrontpagestory.com. At least go check it out and throw your email in there so you get that discount. Myfrontpagestory.com. Backofficescheduler.com. HumanHeadNYC.com. Sporticulture. Pizza Boy Brewing.